I've been involved with music my whole life. I've been playing instruments. Like, you know, it started in elementary school. I started on the violin, and then I eventually started taking drum lessons. And my dad bought a drum set for me, and that's really how it started. And then in high school, I went through like a lot of different musical phases. I remember listening to, like, I went through like this hard fucking Slipknot phase where I was just listening to Slipknot and Deftones and Kato production.
That clear enough?
Kato production. But I still like that music, but it was more relevant to me back then. And then I sort of fell into hip hop just sort of as a natural progression. And I actually started rapping and producing at the same time. And then I eventually just stuck to production because I felt like it was a better fit. The producer that inspired me, I think, to start producing was Dr. Dre. And I think a lot of people can sort of hear it in my sound when they just listen to, you know, sort of the melodies that I create, and the drums and just the overall vibe of my tracks. But you know, definitely a lot of my tracks have more of a down south feel. But Dre is definitely my inspiration for getting into hip hop. And then, you know, Dilla, just the grittiness of his sound, and Dilla, who else? DJ Toon was a big influence when I moved down to Atlanta. Primo was like very early on when I started hip hop. He was like one of the big inspirations for me. So I like music that makes you move, you know. Music is all about like a feeling, a vibe. So for me, like, it's always about making music that makes people move, whether it's like they nod their head or start dancing or, you know, going crazy, like the type of music that I make with Jaren. You know, but I like music that makes people move or feel something. It's funny because I don't look at it like a job. It's like, I recently had a day job that I just quit to pursue music full time, and ever since I quit that, like, I haven't looked, you know, I haven't felt like I've been working ever since then. Even though I've probably been spending more hours into my music than I did when I had my day job, it doesn't feel like work to me. So music to me is just, and producing is, it's just something that I do. It just comes naturally. So it's more of like it's a creative expression for me, you know. And it's awesome that I get to just do it full time now. You know, I've always been a believer in it's not what you use, but how you use it. So my setup, I'm sure you'll find that my setup is super simple. I record off a M Audio Fast Track Pro, and I'm still using the same microphone that I had when I first started. It's the very first mic that I bought, you know, and I just learned how to use it to the best of my ability, and I'm a strong believer in that, because I've heard some recordings and mixes and beats on like top-notch studio equipment, and I personally thought it sounded like shit, you know. So I make all my beats off Reason and a 25 key Axiom, you know, and it works great for what I need. So it's how you use it. It always comes back to the music. So you got to make sure that the music is good, you know. For me, like, nowadays you see a lot of people getting on that aren't necessarily musically talented, which is the sad reality, but you don't need to be talented these days to actually get on, But to stay on, I think it's always going to come back to the music. Like, you got to have good material. You got to have good music to have longevity in the game. So, you know, I would just advise all producers to perfect their craft. You know, and that doesn't just go for producers. It goes for anyone who's doing anything in any industry. You know, just be really good at what you do. Other than that, I would say no one person can do it alone, so you got to find a team or build a team of like-minded individuals and work together to achieve your goals.
Cool, you have anything else to say?
Shout out FVTV, Futuristic Vintage. Hit me up on Twitter at Kato Producer. Facebook at Kato Producer, Instagram at Kato Producer. You know, I've expanded my fan base a lot in the past year, so I just want to thank everyone who's been supporting me for the past, since I started really, but in the past year especially.